Hey everybody, Joel Geyer here with Badger Beer Report, and I am back with another episode of Flight School. And today I'm in beautiful Port Washington, staring out right now at the water with my friend Trevor here at Inventors Brewpub. So, Trevor, can you just briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll
Sure.
get the ball rolling with our first beer?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, I'm Trevor Thurston. I'm the head brewer here at Inventors. Been here for 10 months, I think now. 9 months, 10 months. And yeah, we have a really nice flight for you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we're going to get the ball rolling here with your Port Pills.
Port Pills.
And so with this Pilsner, I know that you are featuring German hops. So can you talk a little bit about those hops and, kind of the differences that you may see in a beer like this compared to some of the American lagers that other people may be familiar with?
Well, I'll also say that it's German malts as well.
Yes, German malts as well.
German malts, small, very small maltster out of Germany called Salzgitter. The hops are Tettnang and Hellertauer Mittelfrüh, which are really old school noble hops from Germany, and it's a little bit hoppy, but it's not outrageous. It doesn't have a ton of bitterness, and the bitterness is really set to balance everything out, to balance the malts, keep it nice and crisp. But then we have some classic noble hops. It's a pilsner. You've got to have the hops, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're definitely getting the hoppiness is certainly present there more so than you might see in an American light lager, but you still have this kind of balance to it. How would you say that this beer compares to other lighter style options that you may see here at Inventors? Because I know I'm sure you have lots of these, what people may call introductory lower ABV beers. How would you say that the Port Pills compares to some of those other lower ABV options?
Sure. So it's going to be hoppier in flavor for sure than say our Golden Ale or our American Wheat or the Oz Wheat that we'll try in a little bit. It's about 5%, so the alcohol is about the same as a lot of those. I think it has a more robust flavor profile than some of our other sessionable beers.
Yeah.
It's a nice beer, though. It's very drinkable. I can see sitting in the sunshine, watching the boats, looking out at the water, and drinking a couple of them. Sure.
And as a head brewer, how important is it for you to be able to nail these type of styles? Because I know obviously with lagers are often deemed one of the more difficult ones. What does that mean for you to be able to nail something like this?
Well, I mean that sort of discounts making porters and stouts and tasting sours and things like that. I think you want to nail, as a brewer, you want to nail every style. They're all super important. But I think, you're right. Fermentation is important. Taking the time to make sure that everything goes the right way. This beer is spunded. So the German term, basically it uses, at the end of fermentation, you are using the CO2 that the beer is producing itself to carbonate the beer. So there's no forced carbonation at all in it. Yeah. And it's one of the things that gives it a better texture. It gives it a nicer carbonation level. The bubbles are smaller. So
the head was excellent. And you can see I always can love, because with the little bit bigger, the lacing here too. It's just a beautiful,
legit lacing.
You can now see the kind of the start and the finished product here. They're not full pours, mind you, but you can kind of see, the progress that was made here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's a really good, I feel like, start to a flight. Like when someone's building a flight, starting with a little more lighter of an option.
One of my really good friends is a Pilsner fanatic. Back in Oregon, and he says you have to hold it up and see a little green tone.
Okay.
If you don't see a little green tone, it's not a good Pilsner.
Okay.
And
what would that be? What would that be from?
Shout out to Anthony Reel.
What would the green tinge be from? Is it just
from the hops?
Okay, it's from the hops. Okay.
From the hops. Yeah. Okay. Totally. Yeah.
That's what I was just clarifying for the audience that may not, fully understand that. But yeah, I mean, this is a great start to the flight. And we're gonna stay still, not super crazy ABV or anything. We're sticking with German coming up here next.
Yes, we are.
But we'll be right back with our next beer in the flight. And we are back here with Trevor in beautiful Port Washington at Inventors Brewpub with our second beer. And this one isn't quite as clear as our first option, the Port Pills. And today, now we have the Ozaki wheat.
That's correct.
Oz wheat, as you shortened it to, correct?
Yes, yeah, we call it Oz wheat, but yeah, it's Ozaki wheat.
So, it's a Hefeweizen. As someone, you know, that if you're familiar with the style, clove and banana are often two forefront flavors. You know, you can often, you know, sometimes get a little bit, you know, bubblegum, citrus, vanilla also in there, but especially the clove and banana are often viewed as two of the main ones. Yeah. And oftentimes a Hefeweizen will kind of maybe lean one way or the other on those. Do you feel like yours leans more on one of those flavor profiles, or is it more trying to be striking down the middle?
No, it's definitely leans more towards the banana side.
Okay.
And I swam acetate. We definitely do that on purpose.
The aroma is definitely that's big on that. Yeah,
it's booming with the banana. Yep. And later this month, I'm actually going to add some banana to some of this. For a specialty keg on Monday, so we'll get just a banana bomb. Yeah,
quick shout out while you're talking about, you have, just for promotional sake, you have a featured kegs every month, correct? Here at Inventors,
every Monday. It's a different flavor. As long as it lasts. Usually it doesn't last past Wednesday.
Yeah. So get here early in the week. If you do some fun, like you normally have, like each month, it's kind of like one base. It's one kind of beer, and then you do like some different variations off of it.
Yeah, very often that's the case. Okay. So it'll be like all ambers or all weird IPAs or something like that. This month it bounces around a little bit.
Okay.
I wish that was the right poster, but
oh well.
Oh well. So yeah, Hefeweizen, German beer, German malts, German hops. These are Tettnanger hops, just straight up Tettnanger, nothing else. Does not get dry hopped. And then during the process of brewing it, we pay some attention to how we brew it. And then we also pay attention in fermentation to make sure that the banana is what happens.
Okay.
So
is that just a personal preference, or is that what you feel should be more accentuated in this style?
No. I think that's the house flavor.
Okay.
So that was what was done before me. And in other stops on my brewing road, banana has been the sort of the preference. If you go to Germany and try a bunch of Hefeweizens, you'll get it all over the map. But most often it'll be very 50-50.
Okay.
You know, and I'm okay with that too. I like those as well.
Yeah, I enjoy Hefeweizens either way. So yeah, I mean, it is very good. And obviously, as I talked about at the start, this is not as clear as the pills, or in that case, virtually most other like German styles.
That's right.
Can you explain to people watching, why is it the Hefeweizen is this cloudy, and how is that achieved?
So there's two parts to that, but it's all yeast derived. The yeast that we use is what's called low flocculating, which means that all the yeast does not separate out. And you know, Weizen means yeast. Yeah. And then what was the other point? Oh, and so that particular yeast is very powdery, and so a lot of it will stay in suspension, making it cloudy like you see here. So that's basically the run.
Yeah. And then you said obviously this beer has been around from a long time. Do you know why? Is it just because it was early on and kind of a earlier beer that was more approachable that it has it? Because I was just curious, because it seems like a lot of your beers are named very specifically for things, and this one just is named after the county. Is there a reason for that?
The only reason was because we wanted the founder wanted something that was more reflective of the county.
Okay.
I mean, there's very few breweries in Ozaki County.
Yeah.
And you know, we wanted to, you know, we're big on community, trying to get people in here and enjoy not only the beer but the conversation that goes with it.
Yeah. And
so having something that's Ozaki, just like Port Pills.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I was going to say, well, I guess I should have mentioned that too. Yeah. The first two are both
more community oriented kind of beers.
Yeah.
And then, you know, our other beers are all named after Inventors.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of that, our next beer I know on this is named after, I guess, almost the invention, not the person necessarily, But we'll be right back with the next beer in our flight. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
And we are back with our third beer here at Flight School at Inventors Brewpub in Port Washington. And Trevor, it looks pretty clear. I don't know. Looks like another Pilsner, but
could it be a Pils?
You thought the Pilsner was hoppy. No, it is in fact not. This is the Neon Lights West Coast IPA. And this is actually the first West Coast IPA that I have had highlighted on Flight School so far.
Wow.
So it's kind of an introduction for people watching about this style. How would you best describe a West Coast IPA?
Well, it depends on what part of the West Coast you're from. So I cut my teeth. I cut my teeth in Oregon. It's not San Diego style. So this beer has a very lean body, which is why it's so light.
Yep.
It has one of the cool things about, well, let me just say it's a lean body, lots of dry hopping, not much in the kettle, a little dash during fermentation of Cascade to kind of pop that grapefruit out, and and then really it's fairly dry. It's definitely driven to the end of fermentation. I think it might be about 2.3 Plato for a finishing gravity. So it's pretty dry for an IPA.
Sure. Well, I mean, and honestly, the fact that it does have that lighter body, I feel is one reason that for me personally, I've shifted. I for a long time, I would have said hazies are my favorite of the IPA genres. And now it's almost more of an even split. Like I really enjoy the lighter feeling body with the West Coast, while, you know, the hoppiness is certainly there. Do you feel like there's been a little bit of a resurgence with West Coast? Because that was kind of the early days of West Coast where you had the IBU races essentially along the West Coast. And like places like you mentioned like San Diego. I mean, that's where it really was, you know, the higher the IBU, the better. And then we had the haze, you know, the haze craze, New England style, and that still obviously has been going. But do you feel like there has been this resurgence a little bit towards this West Coast or even American IPA that's a little more on the, you know, it's not the hazy side as much?
It's definitely not the hazy side, but we learned a lot of lessons from hazy and getting a lot of hop flavor and aroma into a beer without having it be super bitter like the IBU wars. And so, this one is a good example of, it has hardly anything in the kettle. I mean, it's like, just toss a little bit in and call it good. And then hit it hard in Whirlpool, hit it hard in the dry hop, really hard in dry hop.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, the dry hopping was a big thing. So you always saw the New England, the DDH is what you would see on the menu that you would always see everywhere for the double dry hopping. And you mentioned Cascade. Are there any other hops that you use in this particular beer?
Yeah, and the one that I'm super excited about is called Vera. It is a USDA public variety that was released not too long ago. It has some candy, but it also candy-like sweetness, tropical pineapple, but it also has like a little bit of like woody, earthy pine in the background. So it's, you know, when you're thinking about making IPAs or whatever, a little bit of balance is nice. Yeah. A little bit of, you don't want the whole, well, especially in the West Coast, you don't want the whole, it's all tropical thing. And I love hazies.
Because that is more of a, if you get you start getting into the true tropical fruits and everything.
Yep. And you sort of lose that. You lose the West Coast.
Yeah, because like you said, you mentioned like the woody kind of pininess, like that's something that is often attributed to kind of the West Coast style when you're thinking of that type of flavor profile and aroma, which I'm definitely getting in there. Like the little bit of pine, but you mentioned, you know, the citrus, and I for one also have enjoyed that because like the slight candy character is something that I personally enjoy too in a beer like this. I really like that. And
it's kind of cool that you can get sweetness from a hop. Not from higher finishing gravity or sweetness.
Well, and it's not, but it's also not a sweetness that's going to like, you have like it's there, but it's not going to like overpower. Like this is not an IPA that you would, you know, this is still a hoppier, you know, balanced IPA. For people that this is not a sweet beer. Do not worry, folks.
No, it's not sweet.
And so we talked about Port and Oz being beer names that were for the community, but obviously Inventors Brewpub, many of the beers are named after inventors and inventions. And in this case, it was Neon Lights, West Coast IPA, which it was, if I'm correct here, George's Claude is George Claude. George Claude. He was the father of Neon Lights. And
yes, he was.
On the website, it says that this beer is supposed to be like a nod to Neon Lights. And so how do you feel that this beer represents George Claude and his Neon Lights?
Well, so that's a two-part answer. So yeah, I mean, it's very bright, very yellow, like a neon light. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Hold it up to the light there for everybody.
Right, and get it there. But it's also so I had some problems when I was brewing this beer and some problems with the fermentation piece of it. And George Claus was a very problematic person.
Okay, there we go.
And ended up going to prison.
Yeah.
And had he was one of those people who are brilliant on one side and epically flawed on the other side. And so this beer kind of represents
that. So you were like, okay, what's an inventor that was problematic because I'm having problems right now?
Yes.
And then you got, neon light, he's got the bright color. That's absolutely perfect.
Right. Right.
But so I mean,
not every name is a great name.
No, I mean, Neon Lights for an IPA. I think it's a great name. I think it's awesome. Mm-hmm. And next up, we have a style that I think is one of those beers that is, you either really like this type of beer or you kind of push it off a little bit. But I, for me personally, I'm very excited to talk about this one. So we will be right back with our fourth and final beer of Flight School. And we are back with our fourth and final beer at Inventors Brewpub. And this is a very fun style that I personally very much enjoy. We have Beach Embers Radzitsky.
Yes, sir.
And people who don't know, this is a smoked beer. And so we need to start with the smoke, of course. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the smoke to someone that has not had this type of beer before in terms of the aroma, the taste, and how it balances with the beer itself?
I think you get more smoke on the nose. I think when you bring it up to your nose, you're like, what is that campfire? But then once you taste it, it's an interesting beer because instead of we're really used to having beers where the hops balance out the sweetness from the malt.
Yeah.
And making that balance, riding those lines determines whether it's a porter or a West Coast IPA or something like that, or a Pilsner or whatever. In this case, the fruitiness and the smoke are the balancing components.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this beer super, super cool. It's only 3.5%. So it's something that you can sit and drink 2 or 3 pints of and you're okay, especially if you have something to eat with it in our lovely restaurant.
That's right. You can come and eat here too.
We got great food. Great food, great views. So so the Grodzinski is super cool. I held a winter beer festival this year on the coldest day of the year, and I did a collaboration with the guys at Brewfinity. Holla, Chad, Mike,
cheers
Steve.
to Chad.
Love you guys. And they helped me put this beer together and then get it on tap. And I've been championing this beer for a hot minute. We use it as our chaser beer for Bloody Marys.
Oh, okay.
Which makes a ton of sense. That little bit of smoke and fruit is really, really nice with a little bit of spice and tomato. But it's a very simple beer. It's not a whole. There's Pilsner malt and a bag of beach smoked malt, and I think there's some Carahel in there just to help with the body and the head retention.
I'm really enjoying this. So for those that may have watched previous episodes, we had the Polish smoked wheat, and this beer is much softer, I would say, both in terms of mouthfeel and with the amount of smoke. It is a very soft and approachable version of this beer. But for those that like smoked beers like I do, it is certainly very much at the forefront still and very tasty. So you mentioned the 3.5%.
Yeah.
This beer is obviously a lot lighter than even it looks. I mean, because you would, even as like, you know, if you think of a Pilsner or, you know, even a lot of lagers, you still are thinking at least 4 or 5% a lot of times. This is only 3.5%.
Yep.
What are kind of the pros and cons to brewing a beer at that low of ABV?
Well, yeah, you are flirting with the microbial, you know, piece. Like 3.5% is kind of that line. Anything below that, you have some potential for getting infection.
Yeah.
But I like 3.5%.
Yeah, because you can drink more of them. Listen, I'm a sessionable guy. I love lagers and lighter. Like, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to have the varieties. I mean, there's a bourbon barrel aged 11% Belgian quad on tap.
Yeah, because you guys have how many do you typically have on tap here?
We have 24 taps. One of them is cider.
Yeah, so I mean, you got basically almost always have 24 different options for people, ranging from, as we said, 3.5% up until the double 5%.
Digits. Lots of mid strength sessionable beers, and then double IPA, bourbon barrel aged Belgian quad, an imperial black IPA. So there's a lot of variety.
What is the brewing process like? How does that compare when you're brewing something like this? Not even compared to the high BV, but just like the difference between brewing a 3.5 and say like the 5.5 or 6%, like some of the ones.
Well, it's a lot less grain
to
pull out at the end of the day. Yeah. I think one of the things that's a central tenet for me, at least for making lighter beers, is to not beat them up. So both agitation-wise and temperature-wise, I try to keep everything mellow, and I think that produces a better beer down the line. If you cook because I can cook my beer at 213.8 degrees.
Yeah,
like really cooking it, and you don't want to do that with a soft, light, nice, gentle beer. You want your process to reflect that. And so this is it's a lovely little beer.
It is. I would enjoy. I could drink a couple.
Every time I sample somebody out, every time somebody's at the bar, like, I don't know about a smoked beer.
Yeah,
just give it a try.
Take
a couple tastes, and sure enough, they order a pint.
Yeah,
they like it. They like it a lot.
And I know we mentioned that this is now called Beach Embers, but hopefully we can now put in the B-roll of the sticker. It has had other past branding.
So this is the funny thing. So we have our ESB, which is a seasonal. It stands for extra special bitter. That's a wonderful beer. That's called Beach Rock.
Okay.
So rock.
Yep.
Solid choice. And then once a year, I make a double IPA. It will never be the same year to year, and that's called beach chicken, which is a slang term for seagulls.
And also the name of my fantasy football team. I'm not joking, guys. I'm the Lake Michigan Beach Chickens in fantasy football. So
now you know who your competition is. And then so that made sense. Like, oh well, let's call this one Beach Embers, because it's like the at the end of the fire that you're having at the beach are the embers. And so
and the smoke. I mean, I will say, as much as I like, obviously beach, this name does play really well with both your location and the beer style. So
exactly,
it's pretty much a perfect. It's a really well made beer that I am enjoying. And I mean, before I wrap up here and say goodbye, where can people follow Inventors and find out more information if they are interested in whether it's your tap list, your food menu, your hour, like where can they find out more information?
We're inventorsbrewpub.com. We're on all the socials. If you want to follow behind the scenes, that's From the Brew Deck. One word, no capitals or anything like that.
And that's Trevor.
That's me. And that's Instagram, Threads, Facebook, that kind of a thing. So you can see some of the stuff that you maybe not see on our regular sites. But go to the website, you can see our tap list.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know there's going to be a B-roll shot in here at some point, but you really need to come here to appreciate the view you have here of the harbor. And right now, the boats aren't out there yet.
They're coming.
They're coming soon. As the weather warms up, you are going to have numerous fishing boats coming in and out of this harbor right here on the water. It is just, it's such a great venue.
This is, I don't know if you know this, but this is the largest public-made harbor in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, there you go. There's a fun fact for you as we wrap up. Yeah.
Fun fact.
Largest public-made harbor. It's awesome. The beer's great. Food is great. So, yeah, make sure that you're coming to check out Inventors Brewpub here in Port Washington. And as always, whether it's where you are visiting or where you are living, be sure to drink local everywhere. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, friends.